Next, I'm going to create the home page of the LinkedIn. So here we have already created a sign in component. Next, I'm going to create the navbar component. So you can see that this is the demo of the homepage of the LinkedIn original LinkedIn. So you can see that here in the navbar there is the icon of the LinkedIn, then a search bar, then a home, my network, jobs, messaging, notification, profile. These are the things that we can see in the navbar. I'm going to avoid this portion. In the right end portion, I'm going to remove this for business and get hired faster, such and such things. The things that I'm going to include in our LinkedIn clone navbar is LinkedIn logo, search bar, home, my network, messaging, and the profile. Okay, so we can see that the navbar is divided into two parts, left portion and right portion equally. So in the navbar component, first of all, I'm going to use the grid from the material UI. So we have imported the grid from material UI. This is the top grid. So I'm going to give it as container as like this way. And inside this container, I have already told that we have divided the navbar into two parts, the left part and the right part equally. So for that, I am going to use the grid again inside this grid container as like this way. So now you can see that in the grid here, I am giving item. Here also I am giving item. Okay. So here I am giving XX attribute as 6. That means half of the page or half of the screen. The next XS tag here also I am giving as 6. So now you can see that we have divided this navbar into two portions, left portion and the right portion. So I am giving here left and right. And next I am going to call this navbar in the app.js component. Okay. So now you can see that in the app.js component I am going to do is to call this. So now you can see that I am going to comment the sign in component in the app.js and I am going to call the navbar component here as like this way. Okay. So now you can see that in the browser, here is the left portion of the navbar and the right portion of the navbar. So in the left portion of the navbar, you can see that we are going to use the search bar and also the LinkedIn logo. Okay. So here I am going to use the tag, image tag as like this way. Inside that source, I am going to give the image. So first of all, I am going to import that images from my system. I'm going to import this logo into this images folder. Okay. So now you can see that this is the logo that we are going to use in the navbar. So I'm going to import that LinkedIn from. So I'm going to rename again. That is, I'm giving it as okay, as like this way, just linked, and I'm going to use that logo here. Yes. Then I'm going to use this here. Now you can see that there will be the logo of the LinkedIn. Okay. So next I'm going to reduce the size of this logo. I'm giving the width to 50px. So now you can see that here is the logo. So when we look the demo, you can see that it is much more small. So I'm going to reduce the size again. So I'm giving it as 40px. I think it is fine. or 30px. Okay, I think it is fine. Okay, now it is much better. Then next I am going to use the search bar. So I'm going to use a search icon. I'm going to import that search icon image from my system itself. So I'm going to import an image from my desktop, my system itself. So here you can see that this is the image that I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to import this image into this VS Code as like this way. Then I'm going to import that in this navbar component as lens from. Okay, so next I'm going to use this lens after this image, after this logo of the LinkedIn as like this way. I'm going to give source here, and I'm going to use this lens image, and I'm giving the same style, that is width equal to 30px in this for this lens image also. So now you can see that here is the lens image, and I'm going to, okay, here is the lens image. So next I'm going to do is to import some other images, that is home, home icon, my network icon, messaging and profile. So I have downloaded that too in my system. So I'm going to import that into the images folder, that is messaging, then network, then profile, and at last home. Okay, so these are the icons that I have, or images that I have imported from my system. The next I'm going to use that images inside this right portion of this navbar. So I'm using the image tag as like this way, and inside this image tag I'm going to use the source attribute. So I'm going to use the home, my network, messaging, and profile pictures, profile, these images or icons. So I'm going to import that from the images folder as like this way, that is home from, this is a home.png. Next I'm going to import the message from images and messages like this way. And next I'm going to import network from images slash network. And next I'm going to import the profile from images and profile. Okay. Next I'm going to use these images one by one. So here I'm going to use the home icon. Next I'm going to use the my network, sorry, network here for the my network option. Okay. Next I'm going to use the messaging, and after that profile. Okay, so now you can see that these are the images that we have imported from the images folder. The next I'm going to give the same style as like here. So I'm going to copy the same style and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so now you can see that I have pasted the styles for these images or these icons. So now you can see that here it is. So now you can see that this is a structure of the navbar of our clone, LinkedIn clone. So next I'm going to do is to use the margin left in each of this image tag. So here in this style, I am going to give margin left as like this way, margin left 20px. So I am going to give this margin left to each of this icon as like this way. So now you can see that it is aligned as like this. Then next I'm going to give a margin to this LinkedIn logo also. So now you can see that this logo is in here. So I am going to give a margin left of about 80 px. Then you can see that the structure is as like this way. Then I am going to give a margin to the lens also. So here I am going to give the margin to lens as 20 px. So now you can see that the structure is as like this way. Next I am going to give the padding top to this div, that is the common div or main div. I'm going to give a style that is padding top as like this way, padding top 10 px. Okay, so now you can see that this is the structure. Okay, it is fine, it is very fine. So next I'm going to do is to give a border bottom to this div. So I think we can give a border bottom as like this way, border, yes, border bottom to 1 px solid. Okay, now you can see that when you look this, yeah, it is very fine. When we look the demo, you can see that here is a border. So I am giving the color of the border as gray. So here I am giving gray. So now you can see that the structure is as like this way. So I am going to give a light gray. So HTML color codes. From that I am going to pick a light gray color. So here you can see that this is the light gray. So I am going to copy this light gray and to paste it in here. So here I am going to paste it as like this way. So now you can see that this color of this border is changed, or border bottom is changed as like this way. Then next I am going to do is to give a padding. I am giving a padding, complete padding to this. I have removed that padding top and give a complete padding. So now this is the structure of our demo LinkedIn navbar. I am going to reduce the size of this each logo or icons again. So here we have given the 30, as I am going to give the 25. Okay, so now you can see that this is the size of these icons. I have reduced the icons again, size of the icon again. So I think it is very beautiful now. So next you can see that in the demo, there is a sidebar. The sidebar contains the details such as the profile picture, cover picture, name, designation, connections, invitations. So next we are going to create this sidebar section. So for that I am going to create or define or create a new file, that is sidebar.js, new component. Okay, as like this way. So inside this component, first of all, I'm going to bring this banner in the sidebar. So for that, I'm going to use the image tag as like this way. And inside this image tag, I'm going to use the source. And inside the source, I'm going to put that image. I'm going to use an image from my desktop, my system now. So I'm going to use this image. Also for that, I have imported that image here. And next I'm going to import that image into this component, that is React JS from images and React.js. Okay, so next I'm going to use this React.js here. Now you can see that. Next I'm going to call this sidebar inside this app bar component as like this way. So we can call this sidebar here. So when we call the sidebar here, you can see the image. Yeah, this is the image. So I'm going to reduce the size of the image, or the you can see that this is the size of the image in the original LinkedIn sidebar. So I'm going to reduce the size. So we have to reduce the height and width also. So I'm giving the style as height 70 px. I think 70 px will be fine. Okay, next I'm going to give the width. So I'm going to give the width as 180 px. Okay. So I think I'm going to give the width as 210 px and also height as 55 px. Okay. I think now it is fine. Yeah. Next I'm going to give the border to this sidebar. You can see that. So I'm going to give a border radius and also the border to the sidebar. So here in the div I am going to give the style as like this way, and I am giving the border that is 1 px solid gray. So now you can see that this is the border of the sidebar. So I am going to give the same color. So same color for the border of the navbar here as like this way, and also I am going to give the width of this border as same as as same as that of the image that we have now used there. Okay, so now you can see that the width has changed as like this way. Then I am going to give the height. So here you can see that in the demo, this is the height. So I am giving a particular height there. So for that I am giving height tag as like this way, height attribute, and I am giving a height of about 300 ps. Then yeah, height is as like this way. I think we can give about 500 px. Okay, I think it is very large. Okay, then next I'm going to research the width of the image again, or height of the width, image again as like this way. So now you can see that this is the structure. I think it is fine. The next I'm going to give a border radius to this div as like this way, border radius. I think it will be fine. So now you can see that this is the border radius. The next I'm going to give a profile image. So here you can see that this is a profile image. So I'm going to give that profile there. So below this image, I'm going to use another image tag as like this way, and I'm going to give source, which is equal to the image or the profile. That means I'm going to import that from the images folder as like this way. That is profile from images and the profile. Okay, profile.png, and I'm going to use this profile here. So now you can see that the profile picture there. I'm going to reduce the width or size of this profile image. So I'm giving the style that is width for about 40 px. So now you can see that the width has reduced as like this way. I think we have to give about 55 px or 50 px will be enough. Next, I'm going to give a section for connections. So here you can see that they are showing the connections and also invitations. So I'm going to give a connections and invitations. So for that I'm going to create another div. So inside this div I'm going to create another div, and I'm going to give h5 tag and also h5 tag for the connections and h5 tag for the invitations. So for both I'm giving the h5 tag. Then you can see that it is as like this way, and I'm giving it as connections. And here I'm going to give it as invitations. So now you can see that the structure is as like this way. There is connections and invitations, and I'm going to give a color of gray. Okay, so for that I'm going to pick the color from here itself. So I'm going to give a more darker color as like this way, C9, C9, C9. So I'm going to copy this color and to paste it here. So now you can see that we have given a color to these connections and the invitations as like this way. So now you can see that the color has changed. Okay. So I am giving a much more darker color, or it will be fine to give a color to div itself. Color. Okay. So now you can see that the structure is as like this way. Okay. Then next, I'm going to give a font weight also. That is font weight to 100. I'm giving a font weight to 100 here. At that time, it will be, yeah, I think it is fine. Next, I'm giving a font weight to 100 here also. And I'm removing this font weight from the div. Okay, so now you can see that the connections and invitations here. So next I'm going to give a border to this div, that is border 1px solid and a color to it. That is color I'm giving the color same as that like this way. So that is DS, DSD, D6, D6, D6. So here you can see that the structure is changed as like this way. So now you can see that when we look at the demo, I think it is same as like that of the clone. So I think one thing I have. So next I'm going to include the name and designation. Here you can see that name and designation below the profile pic. So for that I am going to use the H3 tag before this image. So here H3 tag for the name and the H4 tag for the designation. So here we are going to give the name and here we are going to give the designation. So now you can see that there is name and designation also. So I am giving the designation color to the gray, same color from here. Okay, so now you can see that the designation is like this way. Okay, it's fine. So next I'm going to create a div as like this way, and I'm going to put these two, and I'm going to put this image and the name inside this div as like this way. Next I'm going to give a style here. Style as position, relative, left as 37%. Okay, I think it is better. So next I'm going to align this designation at the center here. So I'm going to give the style to this designation also. So here I am giving the style that is position fixed and sorry, position relative and left 28%. Okay, so that is fine. So we can see the structure here as like this way. Next I'm going to do is, actually we don't want the last portion or this portion. So I'm going to reduce as the height of this whole div. We have given the height as 400 px. I am giving the height as, you can see that we have already created a div and we have given the border. So I'm going to give the border top here as like this way. So now you can see that it is changed. I think it is very beautiful. The next I'm going to give a padding to this div, that is padding left as 10 px. So now you can see that it will be much better. Yes. So this is the demo. Okay, it is fine. Okay, so we have done the navbar and also the structure or the styling of the navbar and the sidebar. So when you look the demo of the LinkedIn, you can see that it contains a sidebar, a middle section, and a right section or right bar. I'm going to give it as a home section completely. Then this home section contains the sidebar, middle section, and the right section. So first of all, I'm going to create the home component. So in the home components folder, I'm going to create the home component as like this way. Then next I'm going to create the middle and the right section, middle.js, and a right section as like this way, that is right bar. Okay, so now you can see that we have defined or created three components, that is middle and right, sidebar, middle bar, and sidebar, middle and right, and also we have created the home component. Next I'm going to call this sidebar, middle and right bar in the home component. So here I am going to call the sidebar first, then the middle, then the right bar as like this way. Okay, so now you can see that we have called the sidebar, middle, and the right bar in the home component. Next, I am going to do is from here I am going to remove the sidebar component, that is from the app.js. So in the home component we have called three components as like this way. So this is the home component. So the home component is divided into three parts. The 3 by 12th part is for sidebar, and other 3 by 12th part is for the right bar, and the center portion, or the 6 by 12th part, is for the center portion or middle portion. So for that, I'm going to use the grid. So I'm going to import the grid from the material UI, and as a first grid, I'm giving it as container. Then inside this main grid, I'm using three grids as like this way: 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so here in the first grid, I am going to give the sidebar, and in the second grid, I am going to give the middle, and in the third grid, I am going to give right bar as like this way. So now you can see that it is as like this way, and in the first grid, I am going to give item xx is equal to 3, and in the second grid, I am going to give the item xx is equal to 6, and in the third grid, I am going to give the item xx is equal to 3. Okay, so we have divided the home component into three parts, which 3 by 12 part is for sidebar, 6 by 12 part is for middle, and last 3 by 12 part is for the right bar. The next I am going to call this home component and this navbar component inside another component. So for that I am going to create another component, that is main.js. So here I am going to call this navbar component first. Then next I am going to call the home component. So now I'm going to call this main component inside this app as like this way. Okay, so now you can see that here is the sidebar, middle, and the right bar section. So in the demo you can see that the background color of this home component is a light gray. So in the home component I'm going to give the background color to this div, that is style color, background color, as a light gray. So from the HTML color codes I am going to select a light, very light gray. Okay, so now you can see that the color of the background color for the home component is as like this way. Okay, next I'm going to give a padding to this home component. That is here in the div itself. I am going to give the padding for about 40 px. So now you can see that the structure is changed as like this way. So now you can see that in the demo here is the structure. So in the clone you can see the structure as like this way. Here you can see that we have to give the border radius for that image also. So in the sidebar component, I'm going to give a border radius to that image as well. Okay, so I think it is fine. Now you can see that the yes border top left right radius and border top left radius. Border top left radius. Okay, so now you can see that the border top right radius and the border top left radius has given. So I think it is very nice. The structure. We have to change the color of this sidebar also. We have given the color of this home component completely as gray. So I am going to change the color of the sidebar. So here in the sidebar, I am giving the background color to white. So now you can see that the background color for the sidebar has changed. Yeah, it is very nice. The next I am going to give the right bar. So here you can see that this is a structure of the right bar. So I'm going to create the right bar with the news. I'm giving here as news. Here you can see that it is LinkedIn news. I'm just giving the news as a title for this right bar. So here you can see that this is the right bar. Here I'm going to give the title that is H for I'm giving title as news and I am giving a style for this as border radius 30 px or 20 px. So I am giving a border radius 20 px to this right bar. At that time you can see that this has like this way and I am giving the color of this or background color as white again. So you can see that here it is white. I am giving the height also 500 px will be fine. Okay, 500 px is okay. The next I am going to give a padding also. Padding for about 20 px. So now you can see that this is the structure of the right bar. I think it is fine. I am going to reduce as the height. That is, I am giving 400 px. Okay. Okay. So I think now it is very fine. I am giving a padding top and padding right. So padding top I am giving 5 px and padding right also I am giving as 10 px. Sorry, padding left 20 px. Okay. So now it is fine. Then next I'm going to do the middle section. So middle section can be divided into two parts. That is, there is a part which contains the profile picture, text field or input and the icons for adding the post. So, so in the middle, I'm going to create two div here. So inside these two div, I'm going to use the, or I'm going to create this two portion. That is one is a portion contains the image, text field and these icons. So I'm going to use the image tag here as like this way. I'm giving source. So inside the source, I'm going to use the image that we have already imported from our system, from my system, that is profile from images folder and profile. Okay, so next I'm going to use this profile in this image tag as like this way. So now you can see that we have used that image here. So I'm going to give a style for reducing the size of this image as width, which is equal to 30 px. So now you can see that the width is reduced and the image is here. Okay, so I am going to increase the size as 40 px. So now you can see that it is as like this way. Then next, I'm going to use this text field. So here I'm going to use the text field from the material UI. So we have imported the text field from material UI, and I am going to use the variant that is outlined. And also I'm giving the label that is, we can see that the label here given is start a post. So I am giving the label as start a post. Okay. So now you can see that there is a text field here that is start a post. So we can see that the length of the text field is as like that of the middle component. So I am increasing the length of that text field. So I am giving the style such as the width. Okay, I think it is enough. So here you can see that there we need to give a border radius to this text field. So I am giving the border radius by using the input props attribute here. So inside this input props, I am going to use the SX tag as like this way, and I am giving the border radius here. So I am giving a border radius of about 150. So now you can see that the border radius has changed. Okay, I think it is fine. Next I'm going to do is to increase the size of this profile image. That is, I'm giving the width of this profile image as 65. Okay, so now you can see that the, okay, next I'm going to give a margin left to this text field, that is margin left here, that is about 20 px. So now you can see that, okay, next I'm going to give the background color to the top portion, that is top div. So I'm giving the style as the background color, that is white. So now you can see that background color of the top portion. The next I am going to give a padding to that top portion. That means padding for about 15 px. So now you can see that, yeah, it is as like this way. The next I am going to do is to give a border radius to that same div. So here border radius as like this way. I am giving it a 10 px as the border radius. Okay, so now it is fine. So here you can see that there is no gap between the middle portion and also between the right bar. Now in the demo you can see that here is a gap. So for that I'm going to give a spacing in the home component for the container. That is spacing I'm giving as 4. So now you can see that there will be a gap between the middle and the right bar. Okay, so next I'm going to do is to use these icons, that is for photo, video and article. So for that I'm going to import the images from my system. So in this images folder I'm going to import that images as like this way. That is image and video. Okay, so I have imported the three images here. So next I'm going to use the three images inside this middle component. So here, this is the div that we need to use the image tag, that is three image tags, that is source. First of all, I'm going to import the three images. That means one is image, next is video, then next is article. So I'm going to import that three images here. One is image from images image.png. Then next is import video from images video.png. And the third one is import article from images article.png. Okay. So next I am going to use these three images here in the image tag as like this way, one by one. So second image I am going to give as video, and as a third image I am going to give the article as like this way. So now you can see that three images have been imported. Then next I am going to give the styles. So here you can see that this is a structure. So I'm going to give a style width which is for about 30 px. So now you can see that in the browser. Okay, as like this way, I think it is fine. So I am giving this style 30 px to this other video, other image tag also. So now you can see that this is the structure of that each image. Actually, we need to give these three images inside this div itself. That is the first part itself. So I am giving it there itself. So now you can see that in the top part there is image, video, and article logos. So we need to give a margin to this each icon. So margin left 40 px. So here I am going to give the margin left to 10 px, and here I am going to give the margin left to 40 px, and next I am going to give the margin left to 40 px. So now you can see that the structure of this browser, or this top part of this middle section, as like this way. I am going to give the more margin to this. 200 px will be fine. Okay, the next is this 200 px to this article section also. So now you can see that this is aligned as like this way. I'm giving a margin left to 20 px to this image section. So next I am going to create this second portion of this middle section. Here you can see that this is the portion that's showing the post of each user. So here you can see that I am going to use the card from the card component from the material UI. So here you can see that here is the profile picture, name, the descriptions of that image. Then next you can see the image banner here, or image here. So for that I am going to import the card from the card component from the material UI as like this way, and inside that I am going to use the card content as like this way. Okay. Next I am going to use the card media below this card content. So in this card media we are going to give the images, and in the card content we are going to give other things like profile picture. That means we can give image tag as like this way, and inside this source I am going to use that profile which we have already imported, and I am going to give this style, that is width 30 px or 40 px. Okay, so now you can see that here is the profile image. Then next we can give a name of that person. So I am giving name of that person in the card content. For that, I am going to use the typography component from the material UI, and I am going to give the name. So you can see the name here. Then also I am going to use the typography for designation also. So now you can see the designation here. So I am going to put these things inside one div as like this way. Next I am going to create another div and put this whole image and div inside that. And I am giving a display flex as like this way. I'm going to give the style display flex here. So now you can see that. Okay, this is the structure now. So I'm giving a margin left also. Here I'm going to give the margin left as style margin left as like this way. So now you can see that I'm giving the margin left of about 10 px. Yeah, it is fine. So when we look here, you can see that designation is of gray. So I'm going to pick this color. Okay, so now you can see that it is fine. Then next I'm going to do is to give a margin top to this div. So here inside this div I'm going to give a style of margin top or padding top for about 20 px. Okay. So next, what we have to do is in the card component. Next is the description. Below this div, I'm going to give an h5 tag. Inside this, we can give the description as like this way. So now you can see that in the browser, this is description. Then next, I'm going to use the card media component. So here we have already imported the card media component, and inside this card media component, I am going to use the image. Okay, so the component of this card media component is of the image. Then next I'm giving a height. So I'm giving an height of about 300, and also an image is going to give. So I have already downloaded an image into my system. So I am going to import that image into the images folder from my system. So from this desktop, I am going to. So next I am going to use that image steve.jpg here. So I am going to import that image first in this component Steve from image/Steve. Okay. So next I'm going to use that image here as like this way. So now you can see that here is the image. I'm going to reduce the size of this or height of this as 250. 250. Okay. This is the UI of this home page of the LinkedIn clones of the LinkedIn clones of the LinkedIn clones of the LinkedIn clones of the LinkedIn clones